We're back. It's Friday. Yes, I did 2 videos today. One you'll see with Wayne Daniel on the new Sika Superior Choice product someday soon on the channel. But our regular Friday episode with Adam, the Double Play podcast, in the heat of the August baseball season. Adam, how was your week? I know last week you wrote about 28 million in production. How'd this week go?
You know what? Not bad. I'll be honest, I know we were texting a little bit yesterday. I think I ended up the week about 6,000 in premium. And I mean, like you said, it's a good week, but after having a week like I had last week, I wrote about 11,500 last week. So double what I did this week. Not to make excuses. I was kind of tired this week. Blind. I mean, I'll hold myself accountable. I feel like I probably could have been more productive. I probably maybe spent a little bit too much time in my car and not jumping out and trying to see as many people as possible. But I just, I don't know if it was just from the prior week, just kind of where I was just nonstop for, 3 straight days. I mean, one day I left the house at 8 a.m. I didn't get home till 10 o'clock at night. So, that's the thing. I mean, when I'm out in the field, I want to get as much done as possible. And especially if I'm only working 3 days out in the field, I want to just get the most out of my time. I don't want to take breaks. I got to leave early and stay out late. You just got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, I know when I've worked that schedule for quite a few years that there wasn't time for downtime. Like this is selling. It starts at this point. It ends when I'm done. There's nothing else happening that day. There's no doctor's appointments. There's no errands. There's no miscellaneous service phone calls. This is it. And then amazingly, when you push that much work into that amount of time, you end up having time to do other stuff. And you wrote 11,000 the 1 week and 6 this week. That's still over 8,700 on an average. Most people would have written 11,000 last week, done a whole lot of nothing this week, and averaged out a 5K week, which is still decent, but it's the doing it every week thing that matters.
Well, God, I mean, not to like put myself up on a pedestal or anything, but how many agents even do 11,000 in premium in a month in 30 days? And I did it in 3 last week. So yeah, again, it's work ethic, putting in the time. You can't have excuses for reasons why you're failing. You can't blame leads. It's at the end of the day, you just have to hold yourself accountable, whether you're winning or losing. And that's something, like I said, this week, I hold myself accountable. I had a decent week. Most people would be pretty happy, but having the week like I had last week, I didn't take a lot to me to be satisfied.
That's the problem I've always found is once you've done something big like that, you've proved to yourself you can do it. And then you're like, why can't I do it all the time?
Yeah.
Of course, it's fine to find a happy medium and a consistent level of solid production, but that's the curse of a big week or a big day or a big month. Or a big recruit. It's like, well, I've done that. Now I can do it again.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if you think about it, how many successful people are ever satisfied? It's always, at least in my opinion, I mean, I've always felt like maybe I'll hit a goal for the month and, maybe I'll celebrate for 5 minutes, but then I want more. I want to take it to the next level after that. And I think that's how most people are successful. They're never really satisfied. They just always want more and they always want to do better.
I feel like the way I look at it is there's a certain amount of things I want to accomplish in a day and then in a week and in a month and in a year. And I can be satisfied with those things being completed for the day. But overall, I'm not going to rest on the laurels of the fact that I did the videos, group wrote business, went to the gym, like set aside my tasks for the day are completed. But tomorrow there's going to be a whole new round of tasks that kind of go from there.
Yeah. Again, I think that's something that I've gotten a lot better at is just kind of arranging my schedule a little bit. Monday and Friday, my office days, like today while we're doing this podcast, and then those 3 solid days in the middle of the week. So I kind of know going in, the tasks that I need to do on Monday and Friday that I need to work on getting done. After working those 3 straight long days, even being in the office, it can be tiring where, I wish I could just cut out and do other stuff and get my weekend started, but I can't. I mean, there's other things that I need to get accomplished and things that, I set myself back a little bit from my ultimate goals when I'm out in the field writing business. right in business right now, that's for right now. That's like immediate financial needs. But, that's not my end goal. My end goal is really building something big. And I mean, if I don't take that time on Monday and Friday to get those sort of tasks done, I'm just going to end up being a really good personal producer. And that's fine. I mean, there's a lot of guys that do really well just going out and writing. But for me, I mean, I won't be satisfied. That's what I do. That's why I got to put that time in on Mondays and Fridays too.
It's a very difficult task to learn to balance the personal production and the agency production, because you're doing one, you're taking away from the other. And there becomes like the period of time where you have to take from one to give to the other, and then make these big transitional moments where you're like, all right, so now it's just going to be Tuesday and Wednesday. Now it's just going to be Tuesday. But those are big benchmark moments. Before we get into today's topic, I wanted to ask, you talked a lot about this on your Monday podcast, or training, that is, appointment setting, because I think I converted you into a believer in this topic. And I don't think it's for everybody, but can you share a minute or two on your thoughts for the appointment setting?
Yeah, it's funny. I actually just posted a YouTube on it last night also. Just kind of talking about that, where forever, I mean, I was so focused on just taking the leads, putting a route together, and just doing whatever it takes to get in front of the people. I wasn't a fan of setting up appointments. You know what? I would set up appointments, and then I would be discouraged when, you take that time to set up the appointments and then the people aren't home. Then it's like you wasted all that time setting up the appointments, and then you're wasting time going out and see the people and they're still not there. I kind of changed my focus and I changed my mindset, and I realized that it's no big deal if the people aren't home. As long as I have enough people to see in that area, I'm still going to get things accomplished. And at least gives me that structure. It gives me that structure where I really want to have like appointments set for the entire day, starting at 9 a.m. and then at 6 o'clock at night. For one thing, it'll get me out in the field quicker, because I'll be honest, even right now, if I don't have that 9 a.m. appointment set, there's a chance I might not even get out of my house until 9:30, sometimes even 10 o'clock. So right there, I mean, I just killed an hour, where if I would have had that first appointment set, even if that first appointment isn't home at 9 a.m, it at least got me out of the house. And now I'm ready to get out there and get my day started. So I do see the value in appointment setting. Half of my appointments aren't home. I mean, that means I still probably sat down with at least 3 or 4 people that day. And it's greatly increased my production. I mean, when I first kind of got back into personally producing, I just had this mindset of, as long as I write an app a day, I'll be good. I was focusing too much on the money that I was losing by like taking a small step back to move forward in the future. I mean, I walked away from a lot of premium, my prior company. And what I mean by that, agents that are still there that I cannot work with, that are still writing business there. Well, I don't get overrides paid on that business anymore. So that's business that I had to, that no longer I'm getting paid on. I had to make up for that. I was too focused on what I was losing and what I needed to do to recoup that. And I realized that, I could be writing a heck of a lot more, making a heck of a lot more money than, just being satisfied with one app a day. And now I usually, I come home upset. Honestly, I don't come home in a very good mood if I only wrote one app for the day. Yeah. I want at least of 2 or 3. And I don't know, like I said, it's so weird. Once you start really putting up big numbers, just like building an agency in the numbers, I'm never satisfied. Even when I have a good day now, I come home and unfortunately, I wish I was, but I'm never that satisfied, because I always want to be doing more.
The difference between one a day, which is perfectly fine. You write one a day, 4 or 5 days a week, you're going to do great in this job. Doing 3 a day, you can do it in less days sometimes, or 3 a day doubles your income in a lot of ways. I know that sounds pretty simplistic, but what it also does is when someone cancels, lapses, charges back, gets declined, never gets issued, whatever. Like, I already wrote 3, 1 didn't go through. I'm not broke for the day. The whole day is not lost. It's a volume play kind of thing. Also, I wanted to parlay on what you said about appointment setting. You like to have 7 a day. You work in more spread out areas at time. I work in a very urban market where one appointment could literally be next door to the other. I'll do 9 a day on the hour, And the way I look at it is if she sets 9 and only 5 are there, then I'm going to sell 3. And there's your 3 a day that you're looking to write.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's, yeah, like I said, that structure alone. I mean, there would be days where I would take the leads, I'd put the route together, and you just have bad luck getting people at home. I mean, I've had days where I've knocked on 30 doors and not gotten in one. And it wasn't like I just kept getting rejected. A lot of people just weren't home that day. And so just having that structure, like we were saying, even if you have 5 appointments, if 3 of them are there, chances are you're going to write at least 1 or 2 of them.
Absolutely.
So that structure definitely helps. And I think that, as I said in the video that I posted on YouTube last night, that I think it's a great system, a great way of doing it. I think maybe a brand new agent maybe needs to learn how to set up appointments themselves and not just strictly depend on the appointment setters. But once you start making some money, you start earning some commissions. Yeah, hand that task over to somebody else. I know how frustrating it'd be. I was trying to build a telesales platform 3 months ago where it was just constant dialing. And the problem these days, people are not answering their phones. They don't recognize a number. They're not picking up. I mean, my system on that telesales thing, I had 10 different phone numbers in 10 different states. So people would see a local number calling. Maybe it helped a little, but not a ton. I mean, people, they're just screening their calls. They don't pick up. It can be very frustrating. And I probably could have been more successful at the telesales. I just couldn't stand sitting around listening to my phone ringing all day and people not picking up. It was getting frustrating. And I was just ready to get out in the field and start seeing people. So as I said in the video I posted yesterday, give that task to the appointment setter. Let them deal with the frustration while you're dealing with just going out and seeing people and making sales.
Yeah, I think as you develop a firmer foundation in business, this is speaking to the audience, not to you, it's outsourcing tasks that are not appropriate for you at that point anymore. Like, we don't edit the video. We simply record the content. We have a video editor that pulls it out of StreamYard, makes it look pretty darn cool, puts it on YouTube, and then I post it. We don't do the thumbnails. We have an assistant that makes the thumbnails look good 99% of the time, and they post the thumbnails. Appointment setting, outsource the appointment setting. Outsource your CRM management when you can afford to do so. Your job as a personal producer is to personally produce. So evaluate what you're doing with your time, and if your time can be better spent outsourcing some of those tasks. So Adam,
yeah, definitely.
We got 8 minutes to tackle it, and I've got 7 points to cover. Is the 7 things that agents keep them from being successful. The things they do, they keep them from being where you are over the course of your career. You ready to tackle that?
Let's do it.
Alrighty. Number 7. They are not willing to, or they don't work late in the week, and they lack a schedule to optimize their chance at success.
Well, yeah. And, said pregame here, the same reason agents are failing is the same reasons why other agents are succeeding. People that are succeeding, they're putting in that time. They're willing to go out and they're willing to stay out late. They're willing to work Friday, Saturday, Sunday if they have to, where those that are failing, they're not. They're maybe the people that are failing are treating this like a 9-to-5 job where it gets to be 4:00 and they're ready to just head home for the day. Where those that are being successful, they realize you got to put that time in, and that not is going to be available during the day. You might have to stay out late. You might have to catch people after 5:00. I mean, heck, last week I had a 6:00 appointment. It lasted 20 minutes. The lady was like 83 years old. She was in poor health. It was just honestly just kind of a waste of time. I knew I wasn't going to get anywhere with the lady. After that, I put a route together. I had other people that I could see in that area that I hadn't been able to catch up with. And I ended up getting in, I'd on a door at 7:30 at night. I got in the door and I wrote a husband and wife. It was like over $2,500 in premium between the two. Had I been one of those unsuccessful people not willing to put in that time after that 6:00 appointment, I probably would have just headed home.
Yeah, I think that people need to make sure they give themselves enough time to be successful. Like you might need 6 days to see 15 people. You might need 5. You might need 4. You might need 3. Whenever you figure out what it is, that's your schedule and freaking stick to it. Like set the walls around your schedule and everyone in your life will understand that's your schedule, just like they have a schedule because they have a job that they have to stick to as well.
Exactly. You have to treat this like a full-time career. You got to block those out. I'm fortunate, I'm very thankful. Like my wife, she understands. She knows my schedule Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. She knows I'm out in the field, and she knows that unfortunately she's really not going to be able to depend on me that much those days outside of me just going out and making money. She's not going to be able to depend on me to, activities and things like that, because I got to focus on the task at hand, and that's going out and make money. So, but fortunately, she gets it, and I'm grateful for that.
I got a quick tip for those watching. If you have trouble sticking to your schedule, you find yourself leaving early or starting late and leaving early. I got 2 tricks. I do a training every morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. If you leave your home before that starts, you'll always be in the field on time. The whole world's welcome to listen. I treat it as a timer to start for the day. When I clock in, where I'm in, this is what's happening, and then I'm in the field. And if you have trouble where you're always leaving the field early, whoever your upline is, you have to call them and ask permission to go home. I know it sounds silly, but until you break yourself of that habit, put it on somebody else. Hey, Adam, it's like 3 o'clock. Day sucked. Nobody's home. I want to cry about it. Can I go home? No. Another hour. Okay. And then once you break yourself of that bad habit, you'll find yourself starting on time, staying late, making more money. Ready for number 6? They are bad at time management, as in doing things like dialing all day instead of outsourcing, dialing in the morning, dialing late at night. They're just the dial day concept that came from digital leads, bad leads, resold leads. Basically, the dial day concept. I hate it. Talk to me about how that might be bad for someone's business.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be very time consuming. And if you're working the final expense market, I mean, a dial day, what are you calling on Monday and you just trying to set up your whole week? Like your appointments aren't going to be home later in the week. And so, I mean, I don't know if they're spreading out their dial days, if like they're maybe calling on Monday for Tuesday and maybe Wednesday for Thursday. I mean, I could see maybe that working, but I mean, I know going in, I mean, appointment setters, they're not going to, I mean, they try best to not set up an appointment outside of just the following day, because the chances of the people being home are pretty slim. Yeah. So I just think that, and again, we about the fact, you can outsource these sort of things. That's just going to put you out in the field more rather than you spending the time on the phone, getting frustrated, as I mentioned, when people are not answering their phones. And I mean, how many people you have to call to set up those appointments? I'd rather let the appointment setters deal with it.
Yeah. So here's your quick tip for the viewing audience on number 6. Dial Saturday morning from 10 to 12 for Monday, and then Sunday evening from 4 to 6, and then go have dinner with your family, and you'll have a full Monday. Guarantee. Like if you're buying the right kind of leads and you're making the dials, you're going to have a full Monday. And then Monday from 6 p.m. until 8:30, call for Tuesday. And then on Tuesday from 6 to 8:30, while you're in the field, call for Wednesday. And then once you hit your goal, you're good. But don't take daylight hours to be dialing for appointments when you could be out there seeing the people.
And about this a lot too is just preparing for the following day, kind of get your day in order. You plan, like I said in my training on Monday, you could have a whole set of appointments booked, but at nighttime, plan your day as though those appointments are not going to be home. So if that first appointment's not home, where are you going to go? What are you going to do? Are you just going to sit in your car for an hour, or are you going to find other people to go see? So I think that that's something too that's really helped me, is just to kind of say as though that they're not going to be home. And then that way, when they're not home, I already know where I'm going to be heading. I already kind of have a route put together where I have maybe 4 or 5 leads that I can go door knock before the next appointment.
Yeah, I have my appointments. There's my hand. I have my appointments. I have my plan B list. And then I have a plan C list as well. So there's no point in time during a field day where I don't know where to go. If the appointment's not there, it's the B list. If the B list is exhausted for the day, there's the C list. Then there's my voicemails. Then there's my emails. Then there's just brute force effort. So there's always somewhere to be. Number on the things that cause agents not to be successful is letting life get in the way. Like, life can get pretty hard at times. Life can get brutal. Life can cause you to question your morality, all those things. But at some point, you also have to go to work. So talk to us about agents that let life get in the way of success in their business.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've had people that, I have to field train people where they get in the car. It could be 8:30 in the morning and they tell me, and I tell them before we even go, like the night prior, plan on spending the whole day together. We're not cutting off early. And then they'll show up and tell me that I got to take them back to their car at 2:00 because they got to pick their kids up at school at 3. Again, little things like that. Someone once told me, don't be a cab driver. And that just basically means don't do things yourself that you can pay somebody else to do or find somebody else to do for you. So you can remain focused on the tasks that are most important.
Absolutely. Number 4, how is this DIY? Do-it-yourself agents. I'm going to recreate the wheel, become my own lead generator, figure out the own presentation. Actually, I'm going to even start my own company. And like, from all of it, I'm going to do it all myself and not involve any level of support or guidance or mentorship or experience. So I feel like these agents need to sometimes humble themselves. And unless they have some massive track record of success, realize that trying to do it yourself is going to make it harder, especially when you're learning this business.
Well, it's all time consuming too. Why try to figure something out yourself that someone has already figured out? Especially when it comes to like lead generation. You got people, I'm going to generate all of my own Facebook leads. Well, how much time are you going to spend to figure that out, where you could have just paid somebody, a few dollars over whatever they're costing them to generate them? To me, time is money. And again, time that you could be spending out in the field where you're focusing on other things. And like you said too, people that are reinventing the wheel, you don't want to take shortcuts. I always tell my agents, if I wanted you to do it that way, well, that's how I would train you. A guy, I told him, this is what you need to do. You need to order a certain amount of leads every week, either brand new Facebook leads that are just coming in or the direct mail leads. And then he comes back, I'm going to order these aged Facebook leads because I just don't know how profitable I'll be on the new ones. Well, you're not going to be nearly as profitable on an aged lead, and it's going to take a lot more of those aged leads to book appointments. So then you're wasting time. At the end of the day, how much money you're really saving buying a bunch of old leads.
Yeah, I believe that's called stepping over dollars to get to dimes. At some point, you just have to accept, if I'm working with X blank, whatever the person is, and I really trust their experience, I'm going to do what they're doing. I'm not going to try to figure this out myself. What else do I have here? Number 3, getting distracted early. Like, before you've had a good understanding of the presentation, your carriers, your savings, your emergency savings account. They want to figure out how to do everything else before they've gotten their foundation in the business.
Meaning, like, I'm sorry, I don't know if I quite follow you there.
Yeah, so they want to learn every other part of the business but they haven't learned their business yet. So you give them a couple carriers, you give them a lead program, and 2 weeks into the relationship, well, Adam, now I want to learn mortgage protection. I'm going to do ACA on Thursdays. I'm going to run Medicare leads on Fridays, and I'm going to do final expense, but I've already done it for 2 weeks, so I'm ready to do everything else.
Well, that's called trying to be an expert at everything and not a master at anything. You think that, and then you also have guys that right away they want to build a team. They see the of building up a business, getting override commissions, things like that. Well, how can you train somebody if you don't know how to do it yourself? So, I think it's just a combination. You see some of these groups out there, these guys are just licensed. They've been in the business for 3 months and they're wanting to bring agents on. You got to know what you're doing first, because if you're training somebody or you're trying to train somebody and they have questions for you, and you always have to say, well, hold on, let me get back to you. Let me find out for you. They're going to find the source that you keep reaching out to, and the point of them talking to you anymore. They're just going to go straight to the source that has the answers. And then that leaves you kind of out of the equation. What do they need you for? So, I mean, I just always said, learn business first before you want to teach it to others. But yeah, you want to be, become a master at your craft and don't try to just be an expert at everything.
There is definitely time to learn the other aspects of the business, but you have to give it time to get there. You're not going to learn everything right away, and you're not going to be good at everything if you don't figure out your core business model first. Which is a great segue to the point that every Monday you do a training, and the training is quality, it's on point, everything is accurate. There's so much training out there that's just inaccurate. I have to make that point pretty clear. Like, it's valid technique. Can you speak a moment about what you do on a Monday, where people can find that content, and why they should watch it?
Yeah, I mean, every Monday morning, I do my trainings, several different topics. This past week, I broke down the week I had last week, from beginning to end. About how I set up the appointments, and then I went through and I broke down every single appointment and what had happened and how I generated that business, and I just did that to show people, like, it's, to be quite honest, I don't feel like it was that difficult outside of just putting the time in, and following a system. Like I said, I mean, you've done this with appointment setters, and I know you've putting up tons of premium. And that's just, like I said, I've always kind of had that mindset. If someone else can do it and it's worked for them, well, why figure out a way to do it any differently? Let's do it that way and see what happens. And it's worked and it's been successful. But I've just several different topics, telesales versus field sales, the presentation I've been using for years. If you go on YouTube, there's actually a playlist that's just a whole bunch of my trainings. There's hours of content on there. And I know anybody who watches it, they're going to learn quite a bit. I don't really leave anything out. I'm not hiding anything. It's just there to help you, whether you're with me or with another organization. Heck, if I can make other people better, and it gives the reputation of the insurance agent, I guess gives us a better rep out there. That's a good thing, because there's a lot of bad out there too. And I teach people how to do stuff the right way and write good quality, clean business.
Yep. So every Monday at 11 Eastern,
10 a.m. Central, we usually go about 45 minutes or so. And if you go to my website, adambersan.com, you can register on there, and you'll receive an email every week for updates on the new topics for the trainings. And then I'm also doing them live on Facebook and also on LinkedIn now as well.
It's awesome. It streamed live in our Facebook group on Monday. I was on a ride from one end of Delaware to the other. It's not a very big state anyway, but the whole time I had it on. Now, hopefully the police didn't see it. It was flat in the other seat, but it was great content the whole way up the small state of Delaware. The second,
and you weren't shaking your head or anything like, what is he saying? Why would he do it that way?
No, I mean, that's a very quality breakdown of how to make $10,000 in a week, which would cause a lot of money to be deposited into your bank account, which is number 2 on what keeps agents from being successful, is poor money management. Have you ever seen a guy write a ton of business, be good at what he does, and not have a darn clue how to manage his money?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I mean, I had a guy that he was really good, and he just, unfortunately, he's too much of his money. He wasn't setting money aside for future lead orders. And I think that probably happens with a lot of people. They see that money coming in and they like it, but then they don't reinvest. And then it gets to the point where their leads, they get old. They're just kind of running. They don't have the funds for future lead orders. It's kind of sad, but it takes money to make money. It's just part of the business. And you got to be responsible. You got to put money aside and pretend like you never saw it. And only use that money for lead orders. And I mean, I think every single week you got to be a new lead order. And that's another thing too with these appointment setters. I mean, you build up that inventory there. I mean, the inventory, the higher the probability that you're going to have a full week set of appointments. And I might give up on a lead. They don't. I mean, they're calling the leads. I'll have appointments set on leads that are from like the end of last year, where I had already moved on. So, I mean, I had pretty good money off of sales that way.
Yeah, I played a trick on Michelle a few months ago. I dug up 500 leads from West Philadelphia that were anywhere between a month and 3 years old. I don't even know how old they were for sure. And I put them on a spreadsheet and I sent it to her, and she treated it like they were new. And guess what? She set appointments off of it. And guess what? I sold some of them. I gave her leads in one county that were from last decade. Like the lead said 2019 on it. She called them, I said them, I sold them. So buying leads every week allows you to build that inventory and give that opportunity for additional sales and appointments later on. When it comes to money management, I've got a suggestion to those watching. Before you've got your emergency savings set up, which is a month of your bills, 3 months of your bills, and then 6 months of your bills, ask yourself, why do I need this? Like, what purpose does this serve for my life and for my business? Why do I need this? And most of the time, you're going to say to yourself, I don't need this thing. This isn't going to feed me, keep a roof over my head, or keep leads in my CRM. I don't need it. And then later on, that delayed gratification is going to lead you to way more gratification in your life. So money management is so important.
Well, one, Chris, I remember you saying a while back too, was that you never really paid too much attention to the money like going into your bank account. Like you're not waking up every morning and looking at your banking. And I think that makes sense too, because you could get comfortable real easy too. If you see the money coming in and maybe it's like, well, I got that big deposit today, so I guess I don't need to go out and work as hard today. But if you're not focusing on it and you're just, again, staying focused on the task at hand, you're going to have more and more big deposits coming in.
I knew exactly how much I needed to write monthly premium, $417 a month, which is $5,000 in premium. I get an email every morning from my credit union when deposits are made. So I see there's money going in there. I track my pending business, don't get me wrong, but I don't frequently open up my bank account and say, what is my today? I don't care. Like, I knew the money came in. I knew the business was accounted for. That number in there, I check that when I need to make big expenses. Like, are we buying a car today, new furniture, have to write a check to the IRS, moving. But day to day, that number is either going to make me lazy, slow me down, it cause me to get comfortable. It doesn't do me any good. I know it's there. I know it's in the account. I know it's in that account. I don't need to know what it is every day, as long as I know that I've written the amount of business that I need.
Yeah, definitely. I think that definitely helps you just to stay focused on the task at hand, just going out and writing business. Don't think about the money you're making, even when you're writing a piece of business. Just write the business, and the more you write, the more the money that's going to show up.
Yeah, I will add a caveat
to
my comment about not checking your account. When you close up one month and you go into the next, that weekend before the end of a month, like we just had, that's okay to pull up your bank statement, put it in Notability, go line by line and review what you spent your money on, account for what you had, what you spent, have a budget. That's an appropriate time to look at your money, but not every freaking day. Like, go out and make more money, put it in your account, and then check it at the end of the month.
Yeah. Like I said, just got to stay focused on the task. If you think too much about the money coming in, like you said, you can get lazy. You had that big deposit coming in. So why do I need to go out and work this afternoon? Well, we don't know how next week's going to go. We don't know how next month's going to go. But we do know right now, if we're on a roll, why slow down?
Absolutely. I remember last year I had one of the worst months of like my 30s. Like, life literally said F you, and then it said it again, and then it said it again. But the whole time life was like, you know what, F all of you and everything that's happening around you. I didn't have to worry about the money part of the world because I had worked every month and every year so diligently around that. I could figure out life with the money not being the problem. I had to fly to a friend's funeral and then fly back to take my family on vacation. And in this moment of panic, I called one of my friends. I said, I don't know how this is all going to work. This is awful. And he's like, you know what? You can figure out how to do it and you can afford to do it when most people couldn't even do it. So it'll work out. You'll figure it out. But thank God you can afford to do so. I don't have to ask anyone's permission on how to do so.
So do you have a number one? Because if you don't, I know I have one.
What's your number one? Let's do it.
Well, my number one would be those that fail are those that do not ever hold themselves accountable for anything. Everything is always everybody else's fault. They're always having that little pity party for themselves of why they're struggling and why they're not doing good. And it's always the leads, or it's always just something else. It's never look in the mirror and say, I'm the problem. I'm the reason why I'm not successful at this. And I think a lot of agents, they need a hard discussion with themselves. They need to look in the mirror and say, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the reason why I'm not successful. Maybe I need to take this a little bit more seriously. Maybe I see other people doing really well in the same sort of leads. So maybe it's not the leads. Maybe it's me.
Absolutely. I said to my group this morning, short-term sacrifices for long-term gains. Sometimes you have to make the sacrifice to say to yourself, admit when you're struggling, and then contact whoever you work with and say, I'm struggling with blank. What do I do? And they might say to you, just keep going. You're doing everything right. You're just dealing with a moment of adversity. Keep going. Or they might say to you, fix X, Y, and Z and do it. So not taking personal responsibility is going to lead you to exactly the same spot you're in right now. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, I don't know. I think that's just how you got to live your life, is any decisions you make. The decisions you make in life are what puts you to your present moment, I guess you could say, in your life. Every decision we make is kind of to where we're at today. And, I mean, heck, I left a pretty significant role with a company. I took a big risk. And I knew it was going to be tough to make that move, but I was willing to take that risk. And if I failed, it's on me. I mean, I'm the one who made that decision. It's nobody else's fault. I'm sure things could have worked out well there if I really wanted them to. Me leaving is nobody else's fault, or it's all based on my own decisions, and so that's just kind of how I am. I can't hold anybody else accountable but myself for my decisions, and, all where we're at in life based on decisions we've made in the past, good or bad.
A good plug for a book I recently read. I don't know if this is going to show up well on the TV. It's Trey Gowdy, Start, Stay, or Leave. Former congressman, former on Fox on Sundays. Great book about making decisions, not making panic decisions, making thoughtful decisions. And a lot of what we do with personal accountability requires decision making. Like, that didn't work before. I need to recognize that and make the decision to do better next time, and not make panic decisions either. Part of his whole chapter on leave is like, give it time before you make those type of decisions. Don't get overly emotional and make rash decisions. Give it time. So be personally accountable. It's a great way to wrap up today's topic on what people do to keep themselves being successful. Adam, any closing thoughts before we go?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah. Just, bet on yourself in this business, and listen to those that are better than you, and be willing to kind of follow in their steps, and don't change things. Don't take shortcuts, and you'll be very successful, again, and hold yourself accountable. And whether it's good or bad, hold yourself accountable for the decisions you make one way or another. When you win, great. When you lose, well, you got to hold yourself accountable too.
There you go. Appreciate everybody watching today. Like the video, comment below. You can dislike it as well too. I won't be too offended. Subscribe to the channel. If you don't, I will be offended to that. And we'll continue to put out content that makes everybody better each and every week that we can. Thanks for watching.